We'll call the roll to the meeting, for the committee meeting for Tuesday, September 19th. Committee of the Whole. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Brewer. Here. Grant. Here. Jones. Here. Tate. Here. Todd. Here. Zupan.
Zupan is absent with
Notice.
with notice. Okay, we will go to public comment. All questions and comments shall be directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on any matter pertaining to business of Sauk Village. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not engage in debate. All right, we'll move along. First item is Madam Clerk on the Community Code webinar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a webinar, and our host for the webinar is James Bonfield. And if you can
Just like the car.
say that again.
Bonneville, just like the car.
Okay, Bonneville. Okay. A few months ago, we talked about the new code, and I sent a memo out to you with all of the particulars on it in terms of updating. We decided that we wanted additional information on the new code, what we have, how it can be used and everything. So we have set up this webinar so that you, as well as our audience, will know how to use it, because you access to new code also that's on our website. So hopefully you'll get something out of this as well. Mr. Bonneville, it's all yours, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Chair and Madam Clerk. Once again, my name is James Bonneville. I am right now currently in Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Tomorrow I'll be in the Chicagoland area for the IML conference. So some of you I'll be seeing down there. Just to show a little bit, I'm going to talk about a little bit about your code online, what you guys have currently, and then move on from there to talk about additional feature sets that may or may not be of use to you guys within the city, but at least you guys know what's available to you. And then last but not least, we'll talk about supplementation, which is the adding of the ordinances to your code book that you passed since the last time they've added that to it. Let's start off with the code online. And this is just simply a link or a series of links on your website to get to this page being hosted by us. Literally the only thing that most people know is even us up here is the URL, because we're hosting at dual data centers, actually 3 data centers, one in Tallahassee, Florida, one in Atlanta, Georgia, and actually a test case one we have in our home office. And it worked pretty well because last week, as you well know, Irma hit the southeast and the eye went right over Tallahassee, and we were still online. Even though power was out in the majority of Florida, still business keeps going on as usual within Sauk Village or across the country. Now the code itself, over here is the codified code of ordinances. As you can tell, it's through May 29, 2013. You can basically scroll down either to the chapter, this goes strictly to the section itself, or bring it back up. There's one that actually had an article. Here we go, in chapter 6, you have article 1, 2, and 3. We can break it down to the individual ordinance level, and I'll show you later on why that's important itself. And no matter where we're at, we have a breadcrumb trail. This is something new since you guys first got our code online, where let's say the clerk is getting a question from the mayor or one of the council members, staff, or even constituent. They can't find something online. He or she can go through and say it's chapter 6, article 1, section 1, and provides that breadcrumb trail so somebody can find out where it's at in the code itself. That's something we've added within the last 18 months. We do about 4 to 5 updates a year, one major update every 1 to 2 years. In addition to that, we have cross-reference links, where a cross-reference link is between supplementations. We do a scan of the entire code. Anytime you reference another section of the code, we basically create a hyperlink and highlight that so you can see what that is. So if there's multiple cross-reference links, you can see what that section may be rather than clicking it to find what it is. Say I want to do a search. I go up to the top and let's say I click a word like water. Something basic. because most people use like, the browser searches like Google or Yahoo. So we want to make it as simple search as possible because most people use it in that respect. Once I bring that up, it's going to search the entire code. Now, water comes up 100 times in this respect, but there's ways we can cycle this down. Over here along the left-hand side, you can see where water shows up within the code of ordinances itself. For example, twice in chapter 2, 19 times in chapter 26, 8 times in chapter 18. Now, I don't have to search the entire code. I can just unclick that, and let's just say I'm going to do chapter 2, chapter 30, and let's check chapter 50. So I went from being in chapter, 100 different examples to down to 4. Because I know the thought process of what I'm going after would be in those 4 parts. That's the way I was thinking. So now we have those 4 different answers, and they're based on relevancy order. Let's take damage to village property by water. I bring that up, and all of our results are over here along the right-hand side. In the previous version, it was kept in the back. We had to go back and re-click a different one. Now they're all kept right here up front. So you can skip to another one if this isn't the right one. So I can move on to fire chief, automatically brings me to that section. Right here, that's where, there we go. Anywhere where water is used, it's going to be highlighted so you can see where it is. Now, there's other ways we can do searching too as well. For example, advanced searching. People that do advanced searching understand some of the parameters involved. So like I could do double quotations around a specific phrase, or a wildcard search where I'm looking for a single character with multiple characters, like putting that star upon it. A Boolean search, so I can tie words together and or not. Proximity search, say I want to find the word water within 10 words of the word permit, or a boosting of a term. Things also we do are like fuzzy searches. Say you have a street name that is maybe hard to spell. We don't have to spell it correctly. Synonym searching or things like urban farming. I remember we dealt with that back during your recon, where you guys were doing some urban farming references. If you put in if it's poultry, you put in chicken, it's still going to find what you're looking for. And some people use these advanced search capabilities. More times than not, we find that it's internal staff themselves that are using these advanced searches. And we provide FAQ for people too as well to educate them to help scale down their search at any given time. So once I found what I'm looking for, how can I pull that information out? Within every section, you can see not only the entire code, but every chapter, every division, every section, every ordinance has these diagrams next to each one of those things. First one is the shared link function. Say a constituent has a question about fireworks. I can copy and paste this, email it to them, they'll bring it directly to our website, and not only to our website, it's the exact same look and feel we have the page right here. Now, I'm not sure if you guys do this, but anything with social media, but we're starting to see it happen more and more with using social media as a way of educating people what's going on. Now, your fireworks order, you probably don't change every year, but more times than not, people are using their fireworks during the summer. They may not understand or remember what the laws were. Some people are using social media or even their own website as a way of educating people to remember what are the rules and regulations within the village itself, using this exact same tool. Next, the print function. Now, the reason why we broke the ordinances down over here on the left-hand side was so that we could break down from a printing capability. So let's say a senior citizen comes in and has a question on a specific ordinance that covers multiple ordinances. Rather than printing out an entire division or an entire article or heck, the entire chapter itself, say I just want to do this one, and this one. So rather than multiple pages, they're getting one page with exactly what they want and need that you can print out right away for them. Some communities are even using this as a way of showing a before and after. They're changing an ordinance too as well in their code. So they can show, here's where we are, here's where we're going using the print functionality. Next, the big one I'm a big fan of, the download the word function. You know your Code Online is the most up-to-date tool. So now, rather than having to retype the specific ordinance, you could go in and download this item of the word and do track changes to have it go through committee and council process to move on before approval and then being sent down in Unicode to be added to the code itself. This is going to save you about 70% of the time in creating that ordinance. And roughly about 80% of the ordinances that you guys do are changes to your existing code book itself. So this can help save a lot more time in administration and help you guys think more from a vision standpoint of what you guys want to do with the village now today, 5, 10, 15 years down the line. And then last but not least, the email functionality. With a simple rudimentary email tool, we can actually email the specific link out to one person or to yourself. Just another function we have in there that people have asked for in the past. Now, one thing I can't show you over a webinar is our mobile-friendly technology. For code enforcement, police, whoever's out in the field, council members themselves, you can have this as a link on your website, on your phone, so you can automatically pop it open just in case you get a question at the local diner, local festival, heck, no matter where you're at. If they have a question for you, you can automatically bring it up, and it understands what type of device you're using and fits to the screen itself and has the same functionality as you see right here. They can scale it down from a readability standpoint, so you can have it in a phone, a tablet, or an iPad, whatever you so choose, so you can be more friendly. Now, your code enforcement officers still can carry the book with them, but I think they'd rather have their forearms, biceps, not to worry about being stringed at the end of the day. Those are some of the things that we have from our basic functionality that you guys have right now. Oh, one thing I forgot to show you that's new within the last 6 months is language translation. We've added this as part of your Code Online cost right now, and we put in Swedish. Gotta grab one. There we go. The code in Swedish. So with non-native speakers, they're going to be able to understand what's going on with your code. Need to be from a planning and zoning perspective to an alcohol perspective. And this is something you guys are getting automatically as part of your last update to our code. Are there any questions before I move on to showing some of the more advanced feature sets?
Are there any questions? It
We
appears
also
not.
have a help button up here in the upper right-hand corner. Just wanted to basically show that quick. But give the tutorial. We've got videos on here as well as FAQs on specific aspects of it. So if anybody ever has questions on it, they can go to this too as well. But we also provide customer support for our customers too as well if they have questions on how to use the code or how to find things in the code as well. Is there anything, Marva, should I move on?
You can move on.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go on just one moment here. Now let's talk about some of the features that you guys don't currently have. First one I'm gonna talk about is called Ord Bank. So between supplements or between adding ordinances that you pass, like let's say tonight, into the code, some communities basically do a stopgap approach. We call that Ord Bank or adopted ordinances not yet codified. So on your launch page, we can actually place those items as a PDF. In this case, ordinance number 48-0-17, adopted on June 26, 2017, and a brief description of that ordinance. Now, my personal recommendation of this is try to make it as simple as possible since we only deal with so many characters. Make it wood bank, burning stove ordinance, urban farming ordinance, something specific to that point, because in a lot of cases the preamble gets a little wordy and nobody understands. Plus, it automatically shows the specific ordinance and what's been passed. And then once we do the supplementation, we take all that information down and move it back over here into the code itself. But at the same time, while this has even been placed on the launch page, it is still searchable at the exact same time. In addition to that, we can place that ordinance in the code history notes. So let's grab one and probably, let's say this is the one that it was. Once we have it done, we could actually hyperlink this so it can actually show that specific ordinance. So as you move ahead in time, amend, you can see the life cycle of that specific ordinance itself. That's called Ord Bank. Code Bank. Now, we talked about the ordinance in the present, how can you look in the past? What about the entire code? Say your city or your village attorney is getting ordinance tested, you guys are getting an ordinance tested from a zoning issue, okay? But that happened back in 2014, is, when the occurrence happened, but we're still going to court today. Well, they don't care how the code reads today, they want to see how the code read at that specific time period. So what Code Bank does is after every supplementation, we do a snapshot of your entire code. And you can go in, and here's how the code read for this specific ordinance, even in particular, in May of 2014. I can do searching. Everything is the same. The only difference, and I mean the only difference that you can see between this and what you see presently is right here in the retrieval functionality. We've taken out the download the word function. And the reason why we did that was to prevent you from the possibility of downloading, say you want to try to redraft this and you forget you're on an old version, to prevent you from the ability of trying to draft an old piece of legislation that may or may not have been already amended over. So we kind of QA you from that perspective. But it provides that attorney the understanding of how that ordinance read at that specific time period. Is there any cross-reference links in there? How is that affected into the code? Where is the reference different than what we have currently? And gives that attorney and the counsel better equipment and research before they go to court. That is called Code Bank. Any questions on that? Board Bank and Code Bank?
It does not appear to have, do not appear to have any questions.
Perfect. Next one we're going to talk about is called Code Bank Compare. What Code Bank Compare does is it can compare ordinances from two different time periods. After every supplementation, we do this as a QA effort to show the clerk, here's what we changed from last, what your code was last time to the addition of ordinances this time. And it looks something like, let's take this. So anything striked out is what's been taken out, highlighted, and what's been added in. I mean, heck, if you really want to, you could do 2 different time periods for the entire code itself. It's going to take a little bit of time to load, but it provides a great research tool for you guys to see what's changed over time. Now, this has just changed since the last supplement. You could look back, they've been doing this for now for like 5, 6 years. You can see back far enough that see what's changed over that time period. That is called Code Bank Compare, and that's usually right here in this version. So you can take this order, and let's go back to 2012. Guessing it's the same thing. Practically, yes. So it gives you that ability. E-Notify. E-Notification provides the ability, so rather than somebody like a developer, a constituent, a council member, coming back to see if we've updated the code itself, we do a push out to you as soon as we've done the supplementation itself. All you have to put in is your email address and push it out, and automatically you can get that information letting you know that the Village of Sauk Village's code has been updated. And you can do that for other communities as long as they've signed up to this you're looking at too as well. Last but not least, I want to show you guys UniPro. One moment. My email is being very odd tonight. I apologize. Maybe my internet. What UniPro does is the ability with username and password allow you the ability to look at, do a search of all of our clients nationwide. Here we go. Let's go to my dashboard. Let's say, start a new search for, and do a search for urban farming. Now let's do poultry. And we'll do it strictly to the state of Illinois. even break it down and filter out specific cities I want to look at if I so choose, or my population base. Getting results. Here you can break it out by straight up villages and also by population. So you're looking at like-sized communities, so on and so forth. So you may like the language of what Stickney does, Melrose Park, or even Carpentersville, and use a combination thereof to help draft what you're doing. Rather than picking up the phone, waiting for them to get back to you, or using a listserv or email, now you can use this just by the sheer number of clients we have. And we've got people even going outside their state boundary line to find us. But it provides a greater research tool from a collaboration standpoint to help you guys draft new legislation as it comes forward. In addition to that, we absolutely provide the ability of doing bookmarking. So neighboring communities that you guys look at as far as drafting information from, you can highlight those as something you may want to look at in the future, or even yourself, your own code, as ways of basically items you may want to touch on in the future, and provide greater collaboration. Those are some of the feature sets that we provide here at the Unicode. So we've kind of gone over what you guys have now, what add-on features are out there. Now let's talk about supplementation. We did a recon for you guys back in 2000, let me get to it here quick. I thought it was 2012. I think 2012, 2013 was the time we finished up. My Alabama. Bear with me one moment. There we go. Yeah, we added ordinances through May 29th of 2013. And since that time period, we haven't done any supplementation with you guys or added new ordinances to the code itself. So we've got about 4.5 years worth of material, and it roughly came out to be about $7,600 to it. It ended up being about $1,700 a year of material in it. So that's why it's a little more expensive than usual, just because of the sheer time period of how many ordinances have you guys have passed. And it's based on the number of pages that we implement into the code book itself. Now, something to look at here is in the bottom of the code itself is our code comparative table. What this is basically a table that lets you know what ordinances have been added to the code since we've been working with you guys on this. The most recent version, looks like we're going to go all the way to the bottom, was these ordinances over here, and it basically gives you the pop-up to show what's been changed in that respect. So you can see in this section 1506, in February 12th of 2013, there are these ordinances right here. Then it pops up to show what's been added to the code itself. So you can see over time what's gone into the process itself. As you can tell, some of these ordinances affect multiple parts of the code too as well. But it gives you a good barometer of what you guys have done during the process to add stuff, either through different administrations or even in your current administration as a QA effort too as well. That process itself is going to take roughly a normal supplementation will take about 15 days to do. I'm guessing we're probably talking more close to 30 electronic, probably 45 days print, just because of the sheer number of pages you're going to have to update into the code itself. It could be sooner, but I'd rather give you worst case scenario to do that. And you're going to be seeing code editor that works with you during this process, that's worked with you in the past during the recodification too as well. So they have a good understanding of what you guys do and what is in the code book itself. Are there any questions about the supplementation that I can assist you guys with today?
Yes, I have a few questions. This is the mayor, Derek Burgess. Can you hear me?
I got you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. First of all, accessibility. Would this be accessible only to those that, or is it accessible to all people that subscribe to this particular app?
You mean the code itself?
Well, the Muni Code, this particular app that you're bringing up now.
Yeah, this is available to every single person, no matter who they are.
I mean,
As long as they can get online, either at the library, if they have a phone or a computer at their own home. Yeah, anybody can access this because this is literally off your own existing website. Absolutely.
and they can print from this app, correct?
Correct. For the print functionality, I talked about this a little bit before, but let me go back to it just to show you. Even in this article right here, the print function is right there. They could print the entire article or the entire code itself, or even down to the individual ordinance level, and it doesn't even have to be non-sequential.
Okay.
So they can print as much or as little as they want. Accessibility has become a big issue, especially within the last 10 years, especially for an online approach. Because we deal with this on a very frequent basis to create not only from an accessibility standpoint, them being able to use it, but also from a disability standpoint. Not our last major update, but the update before, we did a lot of work as far as increasing text size for those people that are having a hard time seeing and making it easier to read using fonts that are more ADA compliant with what they can see and they can read and comprehend too as well.
And the other question is administrative privileges. Would that be just to who we appoint, basically the clerk or anyone else that's appointed by the village to have administrative privileges?
As far as administrative privileges, in what respect, sir?
Adding, being able to add to this, or do you guys do that every year? Is that part of your $1,700 fee every year?
Great question, sir. Our recommendations, we most likely like to have one or two people be the main points of contact. Most times than not, it's usually the clerk's office. I sometimes see city attorney, planning people, mayor's office, but I would say 95% of the time it is the clerk's office that is sending us stuff to make sure that because what we do is when you send this information at ordinance@unicode.com, we turn around and email, we automatically know that you're the primary person, we've been told that, and we'll call if that person is not the primary person to verify that person is the primary. And once we do that, we send you back a verification of what we received from you via email. We do this for two reasons. One, to make sure that none of the data got corrupted as it came over, and two, what you sent us is what we got in return too as well. So sometimes we've seen the past where they meant to send us 10, they only send us 8 ordinances, and then they wonder what happened. We create these QA efforts to prevent that from happening. And then also, we also do a QA from perspective as far as making sure that the ordinances you send us down to are only top fileable ordinances. Some ordinances aren't top fileable, like the project variance and so on and so forth. We check that for you, and we don't charge you. The only thing we charge you for is what goes in the code book. So a lot of people actually send us down everything, just as a, precautionary effort, because we look through it and make sure that you guys aren't, putting stuff in the code book that shouldn't be in there. But our recommendation from an administration standpoint is we have a primary and secondary person. We also have a billing person, a shipping person too as well as we make up their contacts. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that does. And the final question at okay, I understand what the $7,600 price is for because of what you have to codify and not only that, what you have to enter. But when we get to the maintenance, which will be $1,700 a year, is there a minimum or maximum amount? In other words, if we have, say, 100 ordinances that year.
How many pages you guys update during the year? I mean, it's usually you see with communities of your size, you guys roughly will change probably within 2 or 3 plus or minus. Like let's say on average you count 10 ordinances a year on average over the last 10 years. Usually see communities will pass anywhere between 8 and 12 ordinances. Sometimes you're a little more, sometimes you're a little less, but it's around that 10 figure. So we can work with that. Now there is an exception to that rule, sir. Let's say you guys are redrafting your zoning ordinance. In that case, as you well know, that zoning ordinance usually is 30 to 40% of your entire code book. But you're probably taking a good year and a half to draft that. In many cases, the clerk's office has contacted us. We help give them budgetary help even if they don't have that zoning perspective, to help let us help them on what to put into the budget for the upcoming year, because we do this on a fairly regular basis. I mean, my territory alone, we got over 1,000 clients. I bet you about 400 of them call during their budget times to prepare for that specific purpose. And that's one of the questions we ask, is that very question. Because not only have to look from a supplementation standpoint, but the code online perspective too as well. If you do some of the add-on features I showed you before, we do something called My Mini Code, which is kind of like a Costco approach, where we kind of add a bunch of things together rather than buying them a la carte, and it'll save you about 30 to 40% of the cost if you did that a la carte. And I can get your pricing on that. Unless Marvin, did Tracy get that already to you by chance?
Not the add-ons, no, we only have the basic fees.
Perfect. If you do want me to do that, Madam Clerk, I can get you that information.
That would be perfect.
The more than happy. By the way, Tracy is my left half of my brain. I'm outside, she's inside, but she's like my left arm. We work together hand in hand, so we talk to one of us, she talks to both of us. So you're getting two for the price of one working with us.
Fantastic.
Did that answer the question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, it did.
Perfect. We met last year at IML, didn't we, sir?
Yes, we did, up on the second floor.
Are you going to be there this Thursday, too?
Yes, I will be.
Perfect. Well, we'll see you there.
And you're giving a presentation on Saturday, correct?
Correct. I think I'm giving it on websites, accessibility and how to make a great city website, but I add a lot of code stuff in there, too, as well.
Okay, I think I'll come. Hopefully some of the other trustees or the mayor will come as well. You provided a great deal of information, a wealth of information for us, and we greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to your updated price points that you're going to provide.
Perfect. And feel free to stop by the booth. We can talk more in detail about the code online, too, as well, whatever questions you have from our services.
Well, James, it depends on what type of PR stuff you give out. I like goodies.
Trust me, we've got goodies. Got turtle.
Okay. Have a good night. We're going to continue on with the meeting.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. You too. Bye now. Okay. Were you guys able to hear pretty good? It was a little muffled for me, but then, you know, I'm going through some issues. But do you see what we have already? We just, as I mentioned, we just didn't know what we had and how to use it and how it's very beneficial, not just for us, but for our entire village. And so for that reason, I am, Mr. Mayor, going to join with our ordinance review chairperson in asking that this be placed on the agenda for Tuesday.
To be voted on?
Yes.
I don't think there's I just want to make sure that the prices, once we get this, that we're not stuck. I want to see what they're going to give us. As he stated, some things may go up, and I just wanted to see what that would be. And zoning would be one of the things that you're going to get a lot of pages. I see they're going to charge us for pages. So if we have to write something, I just wanted to kind of see before we vote to get this, what are our expectations? What are our limits? And I know that you had came before the board before to petition, and you was going to pull the money from two different entities. So right now I can see what you're talking, but I just still need to, and it's just me, I don't know about the board, but I just want to see what I'm getting into, just in case we get worst case scenario, how high can it go? Yes, we already know that $7,600 is what I'm sure you saw what we have, he would charge now. Is this maintenance fee a contract? Is this maintenance fee something that we have where we can opt out? Maybe this year we may not want to do that or whatever. So those are some of the questions that I wanted. But that the board, I'm sure, would want to find out before we actually, because once you vote on it, then you vote on it going to a contract. So I'm just hoping that we can do this. It's not a great rush. We can always vote it at the first board meeting in October. But I just want to give the trustees a chance to listen. I went last year, and he did explain a lot of different things, and unfortunately, I was the only trustee that actually went up there, along with the clerk, to actually listen to his presentation. So if they have some more questions, he will be there face-to-face this coming Thursday. No, he said Thursday?
He's gonna be there Thursday, but
Okay.
he did the presentation on Saturday.
Well, if he's gonna be there Thursday, and we find out he's there Thursday, maybe we can, if he's gonna do business with us, we can talk to him then instead of waiting till Saturday.
That's fine, and you know, we've not done this since
Okay.
2013.
Yeah.
It's not a major rush.
No.
I don't want us to rush through it, but the cost is as it is because it has.
Absolutely.
Since 2013.
Absolutely, and that's what he was saying. Okay.
Thank you.
IML. You have an IML,
Yes, you have at your places a blue folder. And in that folder, I would like to go through it with you right quick, if you don't mind. So if you can open it up. And we'll start.
just for clarification, the ones that got the blue folders are the ones that actually go in IML, so we can clarify that, put that on the record, that that's what that is. I am going, but
Like George is in your office.
but I read it, okay.
And I'm going to ask that you jump in and assist me from time to time, because see, I've never been
Okay.
to IML, so you may have some information that may be important to disseminate as well that I don't have. But on the left side of your packet, there should be 4 groups of papers. The first one is your hotel information. That's your confirmation for your stay at the hotel. The next one is your confirmation for the actual conference. The next one are the conference sessions, so that you can look at what they're offering Thursday, at what time on Thursday, what's happening on Friday, what's happening on Saturday, and it's laying out all the sessions. And I know that when you get there, undoubtedly they will give you a program book, but to me, a lot of times it's very helpful to have that information before I go, so I can start looking at it and formulating what I want to do, because the sessions start pretty early.
I'm going to jump in right there. On your, I think I told all the trustees about the IML app. Does everyone know about the IML app?
Yes.
Oh, you don't? Okay, there's an app that you can go on to your Google Play Store. It's IML app that it's free. And you click on download it, and it'll give you every single speaker, it'll give you every event that's happening through IML. And so this is something you can have with your phone, and you don't have to carry none of those papers. But after the meeting's over tonight, I can kind of show you where it's at, but that would be more advantageous using that particular app. And then also it can give you a reminder. You press on, and then it'll give you a reminder. You can go anywhere from 10 minutes to a half hour to remind you that you have a seminar to go to. So that comes on the phone, that's free. And so that's something that we used. I think it's only been 3-4-1. And also, as the clerk stated, first thing you want to do after you check in is to go down to, it's always somewhere new every year, but ask where I could pick up my badges. Your name will already be on your badge. You have to go over there to where it's at, give them your name, and they'll give you a badge. And in that badge, you'll have tickets for different activities that go on. The first activity will be that Thursday night. You'll have tickets for refreshments. Then you'll have a ticket for it's an ice cream social that's going to be Friday. And then also Saturday, you have a luncheon and a dinner. So all that stuff will be inside your packet. So I'll be there, but I just wanted to, if I don't catch someone, just to tell you that would be one of the things you want to do, and then you'll be able to which you'll still be able to walk around without that, but I'm just saying you'll have your credentials. That'll be your packet. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, what's the attire for, is it business casual?
Business casual, and that's for the seminars. But the dinner is a formal dinner, so you would want to, for the men suits, women, you know, I won't say after 5, but you know, we're all old enough now to understand what you're going to wear. And then that's Friday hospitality is business casual. I call it business casual comfortable because you'll be doing a lot of walking. So don't try to wear the high heels and all that kind of stuff because your feet will hurt.
The last thing that's on your left side are some invitations that you received also, appreciation, rooftop receptions or whatever. I thought that I would put them in. You may have seen them, it's probably come across your desk, but to me it always helps also to have everything right together. Can we move to the right side of your packet? On the very top is your per diem for the day, for the week. And as the mayor said before, cash it, spend what you do, bring back the receipts. What you do not spend and what you do not present your receipts for, then that's the amount that you turn back in. The next document are the travel and expense policy. And lastly, what I have for you in your packet is a white envelope. And that envelope is can be used for your receipts.
I'm going to reiterate, because we've had problems in the past, alcohol is not an expense. So I don't know how to tell you any better than that, but alcohol is not an expense. The expense are your foods and needs that you're there. Your parking is an expense. So if you pay for parking, that's an expense. But, and bring the receipts back. Parking, you'll get a receipt from the hotel itself. So, but as the clerk said, if you spend over, thank you very much, hope you had a nice time. But you will not get reimbursed anything over than what your per diem. If you spend under, then you're responsible for paying back the difference of what you got and what you spent.
And also make certain that the hotel know that you are with IML because they have special parking. So opposed to paying the $38 to $40 a day for parking, you get it for $25.
I'm glad you said that because what you do is, I don't know how you're coming down. If you're driving and you park in the parking lot, you're going to get a ticket. When you go to check in, let them know at check-in that you have a ticket and that you're parking in the hotel. So that'll because it'll be on your bill anyway, but just let them know. And so they can validate that, and it'll be validated at the beginning and at the end, but not during the week, because they already know when you hit that ticket, you're going to keep that ticket with you. So don't get rid of that ticket that you get, because that's going to be your pass in and out.
One last thing, and that is you do get travel, and I'm starting to figure out how do I get a receipt for travel. If you go on MapQuest and put in your address to 720 Michigan, it will give you the number of miles that you can get. And then according to our policy, it will reflect how much you get per mile. So then you can calculate it that way. And that completes my report if there are no questions.
Okay. First item, the intergovernmental agreement for the provision of environmental health inspection services. Every year we have to every year we make an agreement. We don't have a person to do our health inspections, so the county does it, and we ask them, and they charge us, and we pass that cost on to the person that has to have this done. But we have to have a contract with them. In that contract, as you guys stated, as you guys seen it, and it shows in number 5, $100 per inspection billed to the village. We get our money back. Also, number 7, the grievance shall become effective December 1st and shall continue through November 30th of 2018 unless otherwise terminated by either party. This agreement may be renewed on an annual basis by resolution of the corporate authority of both parties or with the written agreement of the party through their designated representatives for the purposes of the renewal of these terms and conditions contained in this agreement. The county authorized the chief of the Bureau of Health Services or the director of the department to renew on his behalf. So this is something that we go into rather than have a person on the payroll to do health inspections with us. They take care of the health inspections, we pay them back, and we get our money back from whoever had to have a health inspection. This is something that we, like I said, this is things we have to take care of every year. If any questions? Okay. The next is a resolution. Yes, we can put that on the agenda to be approved next week. Okay, the next item is a resolution appointing a director to the South Suburban Land Bank Development Authority. Prior to this, we've had, does everyone have this first of all with them? Does everyone have? Okay. Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I did not receive anything that was in preparation for tonight. So the answer to your question, I don't have any of these documents in front of me.
You said he didn't receive any. Okay. Here you go, I got extra. I think that's it too. So you didn't have, we have a week to prepare, but we have to look and to find out why things are not in this proper place. That's something where I'm working on right now as we speak to put cameras. If you turn to the back page, because it's double-sided, you can see that this is a designation by the mayor and an agreement within the governmental. It says what we're going to do is change section 2. 1 and 3 have already are the same from the last year. I'm sorry, on 2013. What I want to do this year is that if you read it in accordance with the requirements of section 5.01 of the intergovernmental agreement, mayor, with the advice and consent of the board, I would like to appoint Trustee Cecil Tate in his capacity as a member of the Village Board of Trustees to serve as the local government director of the South Suburban Land Bank and Development Authority. He's in charge of housing now, so it's before it was done by the mayor because the person that was in charge of housing wasn't an elected official. So now I would like to appoint Trustee Tate to that position in my stead to go to these different meetings. There's meetings he would have to go to coordinate different meetings also with different entities that involve and do work with the village as far as the land bank, trying to talk to and find out if we can get certain properties knocked down. So this is what this ordinance is about. Are there any questions? Okay, Madam Clerk, you can put that on me. Okay. Did I give you? I don't know if I gave you my, no, I'm talking about the agenda. I think I gave you that. Okay. No, I didn't. There's another one. No, let's see how long is that one. Yes, this is the one. Yeah, that's the one. No, that's not it. That's not it. Okay. Okay. The next one is a ordinance amending the traffic and vehicles of the municipal code. Did everyone have a chance to look through that? This is from our chief, and he has a recommendation. I'm recommending an amendment to the village ordinances with respect to traffic and vehicles to come into compliance with the Illinois state statute. The current notification forms states that the vehicle was driven by a driver without a valid license whose driving privileges is suspended, revoked, or expired for greater than 6 months. This mirrors the current ordinance and needs to be amended to 12 months. So we are in accordance with the state. If this person meets the criteria, then we can tow the vehicle in accordance to the village ordinance and collect money. Basically, we're going from 6 months to 12 months because that's what state is doing, and we have to be in accordance with that. So all we need to do is add the 6 months, and then that was in section 74-349, false, stolen, altered, and or suspended state registration or temporary registration. It's the temporary registration that also needs to be added. Any questions? Okay. Next week, we're going to have a proclamation for National Rail Safety, and it's basically a proclamation that I'll read in regards to, I'm not going to read the whole thing now, but basically it's a rail grade crossing, and it also lets everyone know that CN, which is our railroad that's right down here on Torrance Avenue, is committed to maintain a positive and proactive approach in the community in which CN Railroad operates. So it's, I don't know if did you pass this out to everyone?
No.
Okay, so we'll get a copy. Okay, and I'm just saying if they want to read it ahead of time, we can get you guys a copy so you can see the actual proclamation, but it will be read next week. Okay. The next one is the credit card fees and processes. Right now, we get charged a $3 per transaction fee if we use credit cards. I don't think we're using credit cards right now because of that, but now we're going to start using credit cards. So I just want the board to understand that we will be passing that charge on to the customer, and because that was probably one of the reasons. Then the second reason that we didn't use credit cards because we had problems with the banks, not only assessing that, but the way that they did things. So what we're going to be doing in that instance, we're going to be moving current bank accounts to a new bank that will be able to do this. I don't know what happened prior, why it never happened that way, but the bank that we were using would not give us that. And they were also going to get machines. I want a machine at the police station, so when we have court, you can pay right then and there, rather than what used to be the old, I call it old way because I never heard of it that way before, is you get a ticket, they tell you what that ticket is, and then they mail you a bill, and then you mail back the money or come up to the village hall to pay. Well, this way we can get you to pay right then and there, lack of a better word. So, I mean, most people when they come to court already know if they feel that they're not going, they're going to have to pay, they're already ready to pay rather than wait. So that was one of the reasons. Any questions on that particular item? Okay. And also, we're exploring the possibilities of saving money by switching current credit card processing companies to a new one that has no fee. So, as I stated before, this has come from Mohan, but I had already stated that if we're saving money or we're putting money into your bank and you're still charging us, I'm not looking to put money in your bank because you're making money on the money that we put it in there. So if we cannot at least have no fees on anything that we do, any type of processing that we do, then okay, then I'm looking to put our money into that for the different accounts that we have. So that's something that we're exploring. So I wanted to let the village know, trustees know. Do you have any questions? Do we have any questions on that?
Do we know the new base's name?
I was going to say, as we find out, we're out now putting the word out and trying to get our information back. Once we get that, no money's going to be moved until we actually vote. But just to let you know, that's what we're doing. We're out there looking now for banks that's not going to charge us. I mean, it's not that we have a lot of money, but a lot of money goes through, and in the meantime, they can use that for whatever it may be to loan and make money off of it. And then you're going to charge me every transaction I have. You're going to charge me to use my own money, basically. That's what happens with a lot of ATMs, but I'm looking for the one that's not going to charge. Okay. So when we do those things as far as move money or anything, especially when it comes to financial, it will become for the board. All right, that's all that I have. Any questions on that before I go any further? Okay. Trustee Tate's careers in healthcare. No, this is the new one. I'm sorry. Yeah, you had the old one.
A couple of weeks ago, we met with the Proactive Community Services Agency, and on the back table, there's some green flyers that talks about their program and for education and employment issues. The flyer is similar to this large flyer, and we're going to put this in the doorway so that people can see when they come to Village Hall, and they can get an idea of some of the programs that are offered by this agency. I'm going to have a final meeting with them, hopefully next week, to answer some additional questions I had that were not answered. And right now we've scheduled for the orientation to take place on October 12th. October 12th would be the initial orientation. We will have both English speaking class orientation and a Spanish speaking class. The English-speaking class starts at 6:30, and it'll run until 7, maybe 7:15, and then the Spanish-speaking class orientation, I keep saying class, the second orientation will begin 5 minutes after. So it'll be 7:15, 7:20, something like that. And so this is a chance to get community residents aware of what's offered education-wise. This program lists the qualifications you must have, and the thing that I need to verify, that I'm almost sure, but I need to verify, is that after you complete the course, they have outlets or people for possible employment. So not only do you take the class, you get your certificate or your degree, but then you can have employment that's practically waiting for you. Talking with the people is a good program, not only for you if you want to go back to school, but also for your children, grandchildren, relatives, neighbors, anybody. It's a good program for further education and employment opportunities in the healthcare arena. And one thing that was explained to me is that as people are getting older, then so are healthcare workers who take care of you, your nurses, your doctors, your therapists. So they're starting to retire. So there's a shortage in the healthcare arena. So that's why they have a program like this that's trying to catch up and make sure that we have continual care, continual workers to care for you, should you get ill. So these large posters will be in the doorway. This green flyer was given to the clerk last week to post on our website. I also sent a flyer to be posted on our website with the times for everyone to have. And if those items are not on the website, then you can call the clerk and talk to her about that and get information. That's all I have.
Trustee, I was looking on this. Is there something we could put here to show that the time is, the date is October, you said?
I think that all that has to be done is print out from the flyer that I sent the clerk, and then she can put it up, or someone can put it up on the doorway.
No, I'm talking about the date.
No, we cannot alter that. This form is a federal form, believe it or not. And the federal government doesn't like anyone to alter their documents. So we won't alter their documents. We'll honor their request, and we'll put this up, but we'll put out a separate document from us that says October 12th.
Okay,
time.
that's what I'm looking for.
So that, the clerk has that information, so that can be
That's what I'm looking
posted.
for. Have something on there that states October 12th here.
Yes, that's all in the,
Okay,
that's all in the.
okay. I'm just saying it's not on here.
As well as, it's been email blasted.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have on the careers in healthcare. I guess I keep talking.
Yeah, residence handbook, yes, sir.
Resident handbook. The resident handbook was handed to you last week, and it had portions that were highlighted, which were the suggestions made by trustees Todd and trustee Zupan of changes that we're going to make in the resident handbook. Trustee Brewer, you asked about, if you turn to page 9, if you have it with you, you turn to page 9. She brought up page 9 and some dates that she felt should have been included concerning the water issues that we've had in Sauk Village. And after reading that, we did not intend to give a complete history of Sauk Village's water problems. And to go through that is a waste of paper and a waste of time. And if people want to know about Sauk Village's water issues dating back to way before when, they can find another medium to look for that. Now, the intention was to provide a short overview of what's going on with the water. Now, if you want, I can just eliminate that whole section, and we won't talk about water at all as it relates to the water issues. I have no problem with that, but I would like this to be placed on the agenda so we can get this approved and taken care of. I have a sheet that I'm passing out. Here's the problem. If we do the handbook in-house, now we just rented a very expensive copier. I was going to say $1 million copier, but we just rented, or leased, or whichever, a copier that we could utilize. Here's the problem. We don't have anyone who can physically take care of this. We may have students at some time, but those students will have to be supervised and trained on how to do this. If you look at the sheet that I just gave you, skip down to Staples. That's if we buy or purchase those items ourselves. And then we're going to need someone to put them together. So that's what that figure under Staples talks about. When we go up to Minuteman Printing and Andrews Printing, those are two companies that we've utilized in the village before. Minuteman is $378.64 for 100 copies of the resident handbook, which is the cheapest. If you look at what it would cost us to do it ourselves, $374.25, and you look at Minuteman printing, $378.64, the difference is that we don't have to worry about having someone put these together. We don't have to worry about cartridges for our printer. We don't have to worry about buying paper that's just for the handbook. So my proposal is that we use Minuteman printing, and all we have to do is pick them up. They will, if you look at the one that was not handed out, it was not handed out. It's similar to the budget. It has this spine on it that's used for printing, and it'll have a clear cover on the front of it, which is for durable purposes, in case you spill your coffee while you're reading it. And it's just a lot neater. And we don't have to do anything except pay for it and pick it up. We don't have to try to find anyone. Our staff time, most of our staff is taxed pretty well here in Village Hall. And if you come up here during the week, you see our staff is busy doing a lot of things. And I didn't want Mr. Mayor to task our staff with producing these things. So my suggestion would be that we go to Minuteman Printing. We'll have these produced, and they'll be kept at the front counter. So when new residents or older residents who've been here for a while, who've lost their original copy, and whose original copy is not updated, they can come up to the front counter and say, "May I have a copy?" And one of the individuals at the counter would give them a copy so that they can be up to date as much as we possibly can on what's going on in Sauk Village or what we're trying to do in Sauk Village. So I would like for the resident, handbook to be placed on the agenda, and with the recommendation that we use Minuteman Printing at the cost of $374.64 for 100 booklets. I'm asking that be placed on the agenda for next week, and then we can get the draft to the company and get it so they can start producing. I'm told the turnaround time is like 4 days. Don't hold me to that, but we can get this in their hands and let them start producing it, and we'll get someone to pick them up for us, and they'll be here for residents who are moving into Sauk Village and for current residents also to get the information. So that item I'm asking also to be placed on the agenda for next week.
Are there any questions?
I have a quick question. What is different in your resident handbook than the one that they have currently?
It's outdated,
Because I went through it,
okay?
and I don't see anything that's really outdated in this particular one, and so that's why I'm asking.
You didn't see the information that you wanted was not in there?
Well, I see it in here as well as the one that you're saying is outdated. I do see what you were talking about with this. It's kind of,
Okay.
that could be changed. The one thing that I see on here, or I don't see in here, and it was brought up about the siren that goes off once a month to test it. And I think it should be in the handbook so residents would know that on the first Tuesday of the month, the siren goes off, so that they don't think, oh my gosh, if I was to hear a siren continuously, we got a tornado. But I know that on the first Tuesday, being a longtime resident, that it goes off at 10 or 10:30. That's the reason I wanted to see that in there, because the new resident may not know that we test this siren. But I just wanted to know what the difference was, because I went through what we currently have and yours. This one has an update to the one church. I was looking at this. The one church has changed their name from Church of God to Crossroads. So that would need to be changed in this. And also, I mentioned before, I like to read like this. This is like a calendar to me. But that's my personal opinion. And that's all I have.
Okay.
We can definitely add the sirens as part of the handbook so that, as she stated, the new residents, if they hear the sound, they will know how to react or what not to react to. So we can certainly include that in there. One thing that we also had some questions about was our school districts. And you should see in the draft that the school districts were added. And that's because we have not only District 168, which is here in Sauk Village, which we hear about a lot, but then we have other school districts that children who live in Sauk Village, where they go. And we didn't have that information included in there. So we updated to include those school districts, even though we don't have any real contact with them. The children still attend those schools, and the parents still have the children attending those schools, so they should know that this is a 194 and this is their address and all that good stuff, so that they would know who to contact, even though if their children are attending the school, they probably already have it. There's nothing wrong with having in the village information to say, if you live in this area and your child attends this school, this is the information for the school district. So we will add into the handbook the sirens so that people will be aware of that.
Any other questions?
Question. So would we have 100 a year, or when they're gone, do we try to reorder, or are we setting a set, number?
Here's what I'm hoping for. We're starting to use, we're starting to have students that come in and help us throughout the year. My proposal is that we get an initial 100, and I'm not sure how long that 100 will last, but that as we get students, that we can take one student and train him or her and let them start producing the manuals ongoing, so we don't have to go back to Minuteman. If we do that, it gives the students community service time that they need for graduation purposes, but then we're also using free labor, so to speak.
Free labor? Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so you're asking for this to be put on the agenda to be voted on next week with the corrections that were just stated, and
Recommendation for Minuteman Printing.
and to use Minuteman Printing's quote.
Correct.
Okay.
So would that include 7 questions?
Well, no, that'll be on the that it has to be the update that Trustee Todd said would have to be in that motion, because it's not here, and also the Minuteman quote, or we can just put on there to be voted on with the Minuteman quote. Okay.
And everyone can still, keep this document so you can, later on, you can remember what Minuteman was. But it would be all tied into one motion, actually.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions on that? Okay, Mr. Wizawadi, and you can take a chair. Can someone? No, you don't need to stand. Oh, you want to stand? Okay, but because you're presenting it to the board. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually stand over here.
Okay, ordinance that annexing certain village-owned property. Oh, you're going to stand and do a presentation. Okay.
Yeah, and I've got handouts for you as well. When I first started with the village, the mayor gave me a task of identifying village-owned property that the village had some, to determine whether or not it's marketable, to sell, those kind of things. And I'm going to give you those, and give you one of those too. So that was one of the things that he gave me to do when I first started. So in my search of, the village records and the aerial maps and all of the fun stuff that we've been doing, I came across a parcel of land that was out there that the village took ownership 22 years before Trustee Grant was even born.
Why did you use him?
It was before I was born.
Okay.
But I digress. The property was donated to the village back in 1968. This was the area that is actually east of the Arrowhead Robert Warner Park. I highlighted the aerial overview on the front page for you. I also highlighted the area on the second page and gave a little history of that as well. So the village board annexed the property in 1968, just directly west of this property that you're going to be annexing. And the property contains the village's north water tower, if you're familiar with where that is. It's basically east of Wagner School, and the area north of the house is over there. So if that kind of gives you a lay of the land over there. So this property was just never annexed. The developer gave it to the village. It was once a area of where unpleasant things once were. The sewage lagoon, if you will, was in that area there. So it was really no benefit to the developer to keep the property. So the area got filled in, and it's been farmed for the last 49 years, essentially. So the property is owned by the village. It's just never been annexed. So that's kind of what happened. So the ordinance that you guys will have next week contains a copy of the plat, which you see over to my left, back behind you over here. That's the area that's going to be annexed. Any questions?
Yes, how many acres?
I say it's approximately 15, but don't hold me to that. I'm gonna take a look. I can't see that far away. I want to say it's a little over 15 acres. I don't have the exact dimensions of the
And you made a statement that
property.
someone is farming on it now, correct?
Yeah, it's 646 by 848, so if you divide that by 42,000, you get a good idea, approximately.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure when we do that, you'll have that on there.
Yeah, it's actually on the plat, so.
I'm not talking about this acres part.
Yeah,
Now, the question I do have, you said annex. That means, so you can kind of explain, when we annex that, we still don't own that.
the village actually owns the property, okay? It hasn't been in the village's jurisdiction. It's actually been in unincorporated Cook County. So by the village annexing the property, it now it owns the property, but now it actually has jurisdiction over the property. So once it's annexed, technically it's going to be taken in as R1, but its best and highest use is probably parkland.
Okay, so you said someone is already using the land, they're farming it?
Yeah, it's been being farmed. We don't know by who. The farmer
Absolutely.
negotiate a price for per acre.
Negotiate a price for them to farm or for them to? if they
Correct.
want to
And
buy?
the village would enter into an agreement with the farmer who's been farming the village's land for the past 49 years.
Okay. The next question I see on your second page, it shows the demarcation. You said it includes the tower. Are we sure that it includes the tower, or is it just?
Yes, the area does include actually 1/2 of the tower. It splits almost right down the middle of where the existing tower is.
Okay. So who had this land? No one had this land before?
Well, it belonged to the village, it was just never in the jurisdictional boundaries of the village.
But they built a tower.
Correct.
Okay. Well, yes, we do
Past
need
49
it.
years, it's
I
been,
mean, because the reason why I'm saying that, if we never annexed it, and someone can come in and annex it and then charge us to use the tower.
it's pretty much what it would be. And as you know, a municipality who has water facilities in that area, you're
Absolutely.
subject to that municipality's
Absolutely.
rules and regulations. So.
Okay. My last question, is this land, how much of this land, I'm looking at this page, the second page again, how much of this is actually able to, do you have that answer, is actually able to develop on, or?
The entire parcel is buildable. However, with the situation with the past, the sewage lagoon that they had back there, there might be soil conditions that would prohibit building structures on it, but that doesn't mean you couldn't build walkways, bike paths, baseball fields, that kind of thing on that land. As you know, there are existing baseball fields
Yes.
that are kind of been
I see
formed.
that to the left of
Yeah,
it.
and that's part of the sewage lagoon over there.
And is that the railroad just to the north of it?
That's the railroad, and then roadway is just north of that.
And that's north of that, so it's on the other side of the railroad.
Correct.
And it backs up to those homes that are right there by it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, anytime the village annexes any property, the property is automatically
R1.
annexed in as R1 for the village's zoning code.
She probably went, do you know what R1 is, trustee?
I'm sorry, R1 is residential one zoning, it's single family only. There's R2 and R3, which allows for more denser zoning for those. But R1 is single family houses.
So we reason about acquiring this land, and R1 is for residential, but there's a question about the sewage rural area.
Right, I mean.
We're not thinking about building houses.
No, and I don't think it was the intention way back when to actually construct, oh, you need more, to construct homes back in there because of that.
So we need to, is it, I don't know, is it generally just kind of to R1 or do we change it to something else?
I mean, there's no reason to do a zoning change because the village actually owns the property. So if the village wanted to expand the park area there at some point in the future, it could. I did have conversations with Kevin Weller, the Public Works Director, and he did advise me that there are certain homes that are keeping things on our property that need to be removed. So I think that's something that he'll be looking to do. Just, you know, abandon things. A boat. And there's no water there, so it's just sitting there. Yeah, I mean, just stuff like that. That's been out there. Yeah.
Well, you know, my concern about is great that we add next to this area, but for some, say we're not here and somebody decides to build, you know, take the chance and build housing on there. What precautions can we do to protect that, you know, that area? Well, not protect it, but keep them from building residents on there.
Right. I mean, I guess the village could designate it as parkland, you know.
Yeah.
And that's something that would be discussed during the comprehensive plan when we get into those discussions. One of the things that are discussed when we're doing the comprehensive plan is actually sitting down and saying, okay, this is village-owned property, what's its highest and best use? And the highest and best use is parkland. That gets, you know, essentially codified in the comprehensive plan, so nothing can go against the comprehensive plan. So if it goes with what the comprehensive plan is, it is what it is. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any cost that we're going to incur from this?
Yes, there is cost that is associated with that. First of all, the plan of annexation, which you see behind you, that cost and the cost to produce the ordinance for the lawyers, and that's it. I mean, the village already owns the property, so there's no additional cost, but, you know, a few $100 to do the legwork on it. And this really didn't take a whole lot of time, you know, to do. It's just identifying it and saying, why is this not part of, Sauk Village? And that was what was kind of bewildering to me. And I asked Jim Zarnik, and he's like, it's not in the village. So we had a fun time trying to find out, first of all, who owned the property, because no one at Village Hall knew who owned it. So there were a couple of other issues that we identified on some of the village-owned parcels, and we're just kind of working through all the logistics on that. But luckily, none of those are not within the village's boundaries.
So how do we contact the farmer once we do take possession of it?
Well, I talked to Mark, the guy that actually farms the property that the village sold. We sent him a legal notice saying don't harvest your crops, but don't turn over the land, because if you turn it over in the fall, then they have the right to plant on it again. So he knows the guy, and he's trying to get me a name as to who the guy is that's been farming it. I'm not sure if it was the people that do the, yeah, it might be them. He was going to check for me. Yeah, they did some of the beautification work with
Baltimore, yeah.
Trustee Todd.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We'll look at this further. There's nothing to be voted on until we get all the due diligence back, and when we do that, then we will revisit this again. Thank you very much, Mr. Woodswag. Okay, general comments from the mayor and trustees. I'm going to start with Trustee Brewer.
No comment.
Okay, Trustee Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Budget and Finance Committee did meet with Mohan this past Friday, and I was supposed to have a meeting tomorrow as a committee, but I will push that back to next Wednesday, 7 o'clock here in the Rotunda. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Tate?
Towards the end of the month, the 27th or 28th, we haven't decided which one's going to work best for the intergovernmental and the housing committee. And that's because some of our members are still coming back into town from vacations. So it's just depending on when we can get people together, but it has to be one of the 2 days this month. And I will let you know, hopefully by next week. The raffle was held Saturday at the Corn and Dog Roast, and as you recall, Ms. Belcher suggested that we have a raffle. She then picked out an individual to determine how many tickets is the arm's length. Unfortunately, she picked someone who had long arms, so it turned out to be 20 tickets. So that was held on Saturday. And as you recall, is to purchase armed forces equipment, which will be utilized here in Village Hall, and some of it will actually go over to the senior center. We collected $526 from the raffle, and people came up at the last minute. I mean, thankfully they did. Nan Borgo from our library made a generous donation to help us in this endeavor. So we're going to turn this money over to Mr. Mohan tomorrow for him to give us a line item or something and say keep the money until we get ready to order the flags and accessories that go with it. Now, with the $526, that means that we have a balance of roughly $742.85. We are seeking, we made contact with a couple of potential donors who will pick up the balance of that. And one of them, thanks to the Director of Economic Development, he's working on that one, trying to get someone to come forward and donate money to us for the balance of the balance of the cost for the armed forces equipment. but it went well on Saturday. And just for your information, and we often talk about Sauk Village being inclusive and people being involved, we had all three of the taxing bodies who won. Now, it was not rigged, but they did win. We had one of the Army blanket was Tanya Tate, who's one of our educational people, and I think she's at Strasbourg, I think. Air Force blanket went to Sydney Wagner, who's here in Village Hall. The Navy blanket went to Diane Durer. Nan Wargo won the police fire blanket. Nan Wargo also won the Marine Corps blanket. It was not rigged. So those individuals, I think for most of them, they have their blankets already. If not, some of the blankets, I think, are going to be donated back, and we're going to use them to give away to veterans during our Veterans Day celebration. So they may benefit anyway. But I just want to thank everyone for participating, especially the elected officials who purchased tickets for this endeavor. And it was a great idea by Ms. Belcher to have a raffle. I think it was a chance for us as elected officials to get involved and sort of lead the way. But it was a great idea for the village to take some ownership and say, I'm going to give to do this for Sauk Village. And I think that once we get the armed forces equipment, that I think you will enjoy it. I think it brings a sense of pride to Sauk Village, back to Sauk Village. And Ms. Wargo was elated that she won, but she also agreed with the concept that we need something here in Village Hall to show people, visitors and residents, that we have pride in Sauk Village. So I thank everyone for participating, and I thank you for the 526.
Thank you, trustee.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I believe the original idea was to have the flags by Veterans Day for our ceremony. When do you think we will order those, seeing how, we don't have the whole balance as of yet? Will we possibly, pick a date and just say, okay, we're going to order these by this date?
And we've thought about that. With the donors that we're going to continue to contact to pay for the balance, the $800+. We hope to have that done within the next 2 weeks. We want to order the flags by the first week of October. And I've talked to the distributor, and they said they can get them to us in a couple of weeks. So by the first week of October, I'd like to order the flags so that they will be back here in Village Hall for the Veterans Day celebration.
That it?
Any further questions?
Okay. Trustee Jones.
Well, I'd like to. I would like to thank everyone who participated in the corn and dog roast. I think it was a pretty good turnout and a good success. With the added of the Mexican corn, that was a good boost to sell a lot of extra corn. We probably sold more this year than we ever had. That was a good boost in the profit of the corn. We made over $600 for the corn and dog roast. And that boost really came from the extra dollar that came out of the Mexican corn. And that was really good. And the volunteers if anyone was the first time working with Parks and Rec, you get to see, as far as a big event like that, how many people it actually takes to put on an event. If we want more things, more events, more games and such, we need more volunteers. Everyone was all hands on deck and everyone did a fabulous job. It couldn't, no programs, no events would never happen without the volunteers. And if the village wants to see more, we need more volunteers. There's no way to put on anything extra or add to corner dog roast, any other events, if we don't get volunteers. So I appreciate everyone that helped out. It's a long laundry list of names, but I thank you, and the village thank you. I had plenty of good response back, and that's in the rearview mirror now, and now we're looking down at trunk or treat, which will be on the 28th of October. If you would like to volunteer for that, please contact me. That's gonna be starting at noon. We're gonna have a parade from Rickover to the community center, and any other added adventures in that would take volunteers. So if you would have any ideas, please contact me and we possibly could add that to that. And if you want to volunteer, also contact me. And that's it.
What?
Noon until
1.
3. It was noon till 3.
Oh.
Or until all the candy is gone. It's kind of hard to judge. I mean, if it was a lot of turnout, I mean, the candy went pretty quick last year. Yeah, nice day like last year, it went, I mean, it's really hard to tell. So, I mean, if you're gonna get in there, I would advise you to come early as possible. And yes, that's a Saturday.
Comment. I see Mr. LaRock is here. He was the DJ for the corn and dog roast, and he also helped announce the winners of the blankets. I just take my hats off to him because he kept the music going. He kept the young people and the older people. He kept them dancing and seemed to enjoy it. Two things, I hate that he had to offload all of his equipment and bring it up by himself, but he did do that, and I'm sure you're gonna give him $100 for being a DJ, right? Okay, that's all I have.
Wow. Trustee Todd.
Thank you. Our ordinance review committee will meet on September 25th at 6:30 p.m. here at the Village Hall. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Quickly, I did attend the corn and dog roast, and it was lightly attended this year. I don't know, it was a nice day. It was a beautiful day outside. But I'd like to thank, there were some people that are here that want you to come out along with friends of yours. Maybe that's suggestions that we need to listen to find out what is it that you like, what more you'd like to see so we get more participation. But it was a great event, and I'm hoping that, you know, we can piggyback off of that. I know the trunk or treat is going to be great too because of the things that we're going to be handing out. Also, I just wanted to quickly remind everybody about the Veterans Memorial Ceremony that we do every year. This year it should be on November 10th, which will be on a Friday. And we're gonna do as we've done before for the veterans. We're gonna feed them and then also honor them too. So I'm hoping that we can get people on board for that to help out with that. And a lot of times this is usually a time that we honor all veterans. So we don't just say the veterans that are in Sauk Village. There was a lot that came out of Sauk Village. So if you know of any veteran that's period, have them to come out to this celebration, and we will honor them and open arms. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have a concern.
Okay, we usually do that at the beginning, public comment.
Oh, okay.
So if you have something, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here right after the meeting. You can talk, yes.
So second.
It was moved by trustee Ty, second by trustee Brewer. All in favor? Aye. Opposes? Motion carried. Thanks everyone for coming out.